There is a gentleman caller sitting on the floor, somewhat lame, with his grey feet on the doorframe, trying to extract blood from a stone in relation to his miserable life. He speaks of reality and believes in his profoundness, but seems only to revel in his transphobic and racist commentary. If he tries to do anything, it will often fail, causing a catastrophic setback in his efforts to thwart me, which, inevitably, puts him in a state of confusion and semi-delirium, unable to believe that his attempts could possibly fall short of their desired mark. He claims it's caused by a lack of brain juice, but in reality, he suffers from casual retardation. What if energy drinks make you stupid, he says. It contains acid. What if these have made me retarded? They've wiped my brain and made me stressed. I'm serious. What if having raised levels of caffeine makes you stressed and stupid? They've ruined my day. I often let him cook me food as to reassure him that he doesn't have the IQ of a peanut, but I think deep down he knows that meatballs and trifle are not a good mix. When he gets irritated, he takes his belt off, starts snapping it next to me while masturbating furiously and shouting about his broken scrotus. His life seems to lack all meaning and blames everything on energy drinks. The gentleman on the floor seems to enjoy reveling about strangling me with his belt, and that he wants to go murder people because he is mildly irritated. Little does he know that we are the only two people left that I know about. His paranoia of energy drinks is getting more and more severe. Eventually, I think he will try to kill me as he angrily stares and breathes at me while I sleep. He will often cover himself in a white sheet in order to scare me off, but I can see his feet under the sheet, and ghosts don't wear shoes. I once caught him masturbating into my shampoo bottle, and when I confronted him about it, he said, "I just wanted you to know that you're my property now." I wouldn't mind so much if he would just stop staring at me when I have to change his nappy. His eyes lock onto me like a horny Jack Russell. When he thinks I'm not looking, he tries to extract my innards with an old ancient Egyptian brain hook, which really makes me cross, as I use that to retrieve Tic Tacs if I accidentally put them too far up my nose, which happens a lot more than I'm willing to admit. He likes to use a long stick to poke my sides and undress me. He says he's being friendly and just trying to tickle me, but really, he just wants to harvest my kidneys. When I'm trying to concentrate on something, he will often try and distract me by making obnoxious sounds that are high-pitched and irritating. He will also try to cover me with a blanket and propose marriage after he turns out the lights. He seems to have lost all ability to use his limbs and has resorted to using a window opener for everything. When I'm not looking, he will use the window opener to pleasure me even though I didn't ask him to. Occasionally he will start crying for no apparent reason, and sometimes I have to kick him in the ribs to make him calm down, which often works. When he showers, he often doesn't put the water on and just stands inside the cubicle naked for a while, and when he comes out, he is dry and smells like shit. I told him to stop using the bottle he comes in as shower gel, but he just ignores me and continues to be naked in the kitchen where I'm preparing a fish supper.
I'm forced to spend my time with another man who refers to me as gentleman. He likes to complain about things that I do, or any perceived transgressions, for example the way I smell, even if I've just showered, but never to my face, always with bated breath. I see him write things down in his little black notepad that he carries around with him, and scribbles into at regular intervals. I've only ever seen him wear a dressing gown, and at this point I'm not sure if he owns any other clothes. His hygiene levels leave somewhat to be desired, and I'm convinced at this point that he only owns one pair of underwear and possibly just 3 socks, all of which lack a matching partner. He will often try and hold me down on the table without warning and insist that I must be changed and powdered. I have found it's easier not to resist and just glare at him while he gets on with it. I used to struggle at first, but it just makes him increasingly more aggressive, and I've discovered that he doesn't actually do anything more than simply mime actions in the air with his arms. Just letting him get on with it seems to be the quickest and easiest way to get it over and done with. I've noticed that at least twice a week he likes to sit on the sofa and push Tic Tacs up his nose, and on every third tic-tac he lets out an elongated shriek and demands that I give him my ancient Egyptian brain hook, which is antique valuable, I might add, to help him remove them. As with the changing, I find it easier to give in to him, as otherwise he becomes violent. Last time I refused to give in to him, he pulled his well-weathered underwear up over his dressing gown and started stomping around the room while farting profusely. I'm pretty sure that one of them was shit, as the smell lingered longer than the others. His dressing gown is now stained. I've tried to escape many times, but he always seems to know when I'm planning an attempt. He's had all of the keys and locks changed and had additional padlocks installed on each door. All my attempts to contact the outside world have been in vain, as he has cut the phone line and had the walls soundproofed and keeps insisting that we're the last two people left on Earth. However, whenever I ask him about the postman who delivers to us daily, he just shrieks and runs away with his arms flailing behind his back. Because he makes me wear just one adult diaper, I've developed an infection between my scrotum and anus, which is advancing into an acute case of scrot rot. He only gives me a dirty white sheet to sleep with to keep warm at night, but I'll find him in my sleeping area accusing me of trying to scare him by dressing as a spectre.
He wants me to feed a dog Viagra and set it on fire, but I told him that would be a waste because I need the Viagra for my late night exploits. He didn't appreciate my refusal to this idea, so instead chugged the whole bottle of Viagra himself. It took 3 weeks for the effects to wear off. I know this because during this period he had been knocking over a lot more waist-high objects than was normal. He claims to be tired, but will refuse to sleep until he eventually passes out where he stands, and has a few missing teeth and a misshapen forehead as a result. I find it best to just leave him where he is, otherwise he gets disgruntled when disturbed. Plus, I'd rather not take the risk of sullying my slippers in the fresh puddle of urine. When I am silent, he will use an extended finger to shush me, and stand there for an uncomfortable amount of time in his underwear. My patience is running thin, and I can only but tolerate his behaviour for so long before I am due another outburst. The last time I failed to control my rage, a hot stream of burning diarrhea shot out of my sphincter where the gentleman on the floor just so happened to be. I'm not sure why there was a belt around his wrists, but he was unsuccessfully able to avoid the incoming torrent. For some reason, he was obviously upset, and later that evening, even though I helped him unshackle himself from the belt, he ate my beetle collection while I was sleeping. I often find that he is quite untidy and leaves slathers of butter down the sides of the fridge. When I confronted him about this, he claimed that the fridge is stuck and needs to be unwedged from its current position. I think he has dropped something behind there because I regularly catch him trying to look around the back of it using matches to illuminate the dark. I've been waiting for him to go out so that I can have a look for myself, but he's padlocked all the doors and I think he's lost the key, as he hasn't left for some time.
On Sundays, he'll try and show me photos of Chernobyl and convince me that this is what the outside world looks like now. When I refuted this, he force-fed me an entire bottle of Viagra and said it would be good for my heart. It took 3 weeks for the effects to wear off, leaving me very uncomfortable and with a penis that looked like a chorizo sausage. I tried to convince him to let me go to the doctors, but he kept on saying that he'd lost his keys. I refused to believe him, and are convinced he's hidden them behind the fridge. I often find the tomato sauce in the highest point of the house, where he's put up a shelf especially for it. I have to put it back in the fridge on occasions, which he seems to disagree with, and exclaims that the low gravity of the fridge makes it go off quicker. This is because I once bought green ketchup and could not convince him that it was green from the beginning. This caused a huge argument, and I got angry and squirted Sarson's malt vinegar into his eyes, which temporarily blinded him. He insists that he's never fully recovered from this, and uses this as an excuse to wear sunglasses indoors and carry around a white stick, which is actually just a window opener that he painted. He recently accused me of eating his beetle collection, of which I've never seen any evidence, and despite me trying to explain this to him, he has resorted to binding my wrists together and screaming about how he needed to defecate. He stormed out where presumably he used the lavatory, but there was a pungent smell of feces as he left, so I'm not sure whether he made it.